The distended bellies and distant gaze of these children are telltale medical signs of hunger. They're all members of the indigenous YUKPA tribe who left Venezuela in search of food. They now call home a makeshift camp just over the border in Colombia.
There is a huge crisis in Venezuela. No medicine, no food for our children. We had no options but to leave.
Chief Dionisio left his land in the mountainous Sierra de Perijá area of Venezuela hoping to find relief. Instead, he says, his tribe has faced harassment and discrimination. In recent months, some of the YUKPA have clashed with Colombian police attempting to block their entry. They now resort to illegally crossing the river dividing the two countries. The lands of the YUKPA are divided by the border, and their legal status has never been formalized. Traditionally, they've been free to move across at will, but that's more difficult now. Back in 2009, Colombia's constitutional court ordered the state to protect the YUKPA, then threatened by Colombia's internal conflict. But the ones who have arrived here fleeing the Venezuelan crisis often don't have the documents to prove their ethnic identity. Some of those YUKPA who have made it across subsist on recycling cans to help feed their families. Others live on the streets of the border city of Cucuta, begging or braiding baskets and hats. Oscar Calderon of the Jesuit Refugee Service says of the millions who have left Venezuela, it's the indigenous people who are worst off.
We are in a crisis and we need the government to provide timely responses. 3 YUKPA kids died from malnutrition. There are special needs these communities have that must be recognized to provide protection, whether they're Colombians or not.
On the outskirts of Cucuta, members of another tribe, the INGA, are working to extend their shack. 21 new arrivals are sleeping in this small room.
I want to stay here. I don't want to go back to Venezuela. And the same is true for my children and the rest of the tribe. But we can't all live here. We need land, housing, health services.
The crisis in Venezuela has many layers, and while Colombia has worked hard to help the fleeing Venezuelans, the indigenous communities feel their plight has so far been neglected. Alessandro Rampietti, Al Jazeera, Cucuta.